Donald Trump has responded to his sinking poll numbers, and he is not taking it well. This is very traumatic for him, and he is all in his feelings. Now today, Donald Trump took to Truth Social to say this. Take a look. We don't have a free and fair press in this country anymore. We have a press that writes bad stories and cheats big on polls. It is compromised and corrupt. Sad. Yeah. Donald Trump is not handling this well. His poll numbers, his approval rating is in the 30s, and we're just getting started. Empty shelves are on the way. Shein, Temu, Walmart have all announced that prices are going up, some as much as 300% or more. Donald Trump is having a hard time, but isn't it amazing that the one thing that is falling, that is hurting his approval rating, is the one thing he responds to? The stock market crashing doesn't matter. Prices rising doesn't matter. It's just a little bit of pain. But his ego gets hurt and he immediately rushes to respond to it. But this is only going to get worse for Donald Trump, and I'm here for it.
Have you guys seen the ports? If you haven't seen the ports, go ahead and look in your search bar for Los Angeles ports or Seattle ports, because it is being reported they're an absolute ghost town. And the last ships are coming in at the end of this month. And on the East Coast, it's not getting any better. The last ship coming in from China is targeted for May 10th. And if you look at ports in China, the largest port in China, it is an active, busy hub. So it shows you it's not something that's sweeping the globe here. This is not COVID. This is more directed. This is direct effect of Donald Trump and his tariffs. And I'm not going to come in here and fearmonger and say we're not going to have anything, but you better believe if ships are not docking and they are not taking goods off those ships and they are shipping empty, 40+% of ships are shipping like empty or close to empty. What do you think that's going to happen? The only logical conclusion is there are going to be less goods on the shelves. And it's not only going to be, your toys and electronics and things that you can get by without during a recession. It's going to be food, vegetables, fruits, grains, all sorts of things like that we import. We import a lot of beef and pork and things like that. Even though we have it here, we also import a lot of food as well, a lot of other meats from other countries. And you're going to see a drastic change in the next coming month. In the grocery store, in the retail shop, Walmart CEOs, Target, Home Depot, those CEOs sat down with Trump and said, look, the shelves are going to be barren. We are going to be in a huge issue. And even if he stops the tariffs today and says, oh boy, it was a huge mistake, that doesn't just turn around. So I myself am going to be going to Costco and buying some of those staples, making sure I have a big ass bag of rice, some beans, toilet paper, whatever. I'm not saying panic shop. Don't panic shop, but just make sure maybe you buy an extra of what you normally buy. Get yourself a little bit of extra shelf-stable foods so that you make sure you have something, because these ports, they're empty. That's not hyperbole. That's not fear-mongering. That's just the truth. And two, you're not going to have those things on the shelf. We're not getting them in from these countries. When the ports are empty, the shelves will be empty. And this is all thanks to one man and his stubborn ignorance, just absolute nonsense, and having no understanding of how anything works in this world. We saw it the first time around and we knew it was going to be worse the next time. So here we go. Welcome to Trump's world.
Washington people, listen up. This is really fucking big. There are no international ships at the shipping ports in Seattle right now, and the last one is scheduled for the 29th. That means that major supply chain issues are gonna start happening really fucking soon and really fast. Basics, household items, things that we buy every day that are from international areas, China, Canada, Mexico, Central America, like we get all over Asia, we get so much stuff, Europe too, from other countries, and we are seeing no international ships. Shelves are going to empty, and we aren't going to be able to get those things back very quickly, and prices are going to go up like crazy, and small businesses, large businesses, all sorts of people that rely on imports and exports are going to see huge changes, and not for the better, really soon. So if there's some essentials that you need, get those. But also remember, shop local, support your communities, support your neighbors. And if you need to give money to somebody to get something, support the people in this area that need it during this time, because this is going to hit us financially so hard. Like, the consequences are hard to even like picture. It's so huge. So prepare as you need to.
Another day, another bad poll for Trump. 39% approval. 55% disapproval. That's an F, Trumpy. This is the lowest any president has ever been at this stage. For context, at 100 days, George Bush, 62%, Barack Obama, 65%, Joe Biden, 57%, Donald Trump, in the toilet. And the news is bad for him everywhere. Down 10 points among whites without college degrees, part of his base. Down 13 points among people under 30. I don't know if talking about the base still matters when he's just a dictator and he's just going to destroy the 2028 election anyway, but the poll finds a majority of people think he has exceeded his authority, that he is bad on the economy. Oh, really bad on the economy. His economic approval rating is 39% positive. I don't know who those people are. 61% negative. He's getting bad marks everywhere. Immigration, economy, our place in the world. America is not happy. You're getting an F, Trump. This is the worst dictatorship America has ever had.
Pete Hegseth is cooked, but I'm going to tell you something. Pete Hegseth is not the problem. Signalgate 1 and Signalgate 2 were not the problem. Matt Gaetz was not the problem. Accidentally firing too many air traffic controllers was not the problem. Accidentally firing nuclear safety inspectors was not the problem. Accidentally deporting a legal resident is not the problem. Accidentally sending a letter to Harvard threatening to defund $2 billion in critical research spending was not the problem. Abandoning, then not abandoning, and then abandoning Ukraine was not the problem. Elon Musk, J.D. Vance, and even the Heritage Foundation are not the problem. The Nepo baby commander-in-chief is not even the problem. The problem is that from 2017 to 2021, 75 million Americans witnessed Donald Trump fail in all of these exact same ways over and over and over. Hire morons who make catastrophic mistakes, blame those morons for the mistakes, and then replace them with even dumber people. We watched this play out for 4 years. It culminated in a catastrophe in 2020 that cost us trillions of dollars and a million lives. And those people still voted for him again. That is the problem.
What is Donald Trump doing? Well, he just posted the following. When tariffs cut in, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated. Focus will be on people making less than $200,000 a year. Also, a massive numbers of jobs are already being created. Folks, a massive numbers of jobs are already being created with new plants and factories currently being built or planned. It will be a bonanza for America. The External Revenue Service is happening, and he puts that all in caps. We know you are a 2-bit con artist, scam artist, rug puller, Ponzi schemer. We know your type. We know who you are. And this may work on 35% of the country, MAGA mush brains whose minds have just been imploded by state regime media and all of this Russian propaganda and lies. But you're telling us that we're doing better now than ever? You think Americans are that stupid? You think all Americans are MAGA mush? It's going to be a bonanza. We're all going to get so rich. Maybe the fact that you've been a con artist and a scammer and a fraud and a felon and a sexual abuser in your life, maybe you're showing those qualities now, why you should be locked up in a prison, then leading the United States of America into the freaking ground right now. He just pisses.
It's Sunday, guys, and you know where we have to go? Grocery shopping. I'm taking you with me. I don't want to do it by myself. I even remembered the boxes. When I smile at people and they don't smile back, it makes me so sad. Question, what does one do with these? You just dip them? I really want to try these, but I don't understand why you wouldn't just get pickles. Okay, so my mom asked for little potatoes. That's what's on her list, little potatoes. So it's not baking potatoes. I'm assuming no sweet potato. I can discern between that. This one's too big. Now, is this considered a little potato? Or, and here's another question. Do I get her a bag of potatoes? Are those little potatoes? Should I be measuring them? I'm gonna have to call her. Just in case you were wondering, she hates yellow potatoes, like with a fury. And she said the first ones were too big, so she told me to pick little ones from this particular amount. Little, little, too big. Want to know the key to Anna's heart? Have bananas when she gets home from her dance competition. I just spent 20 minutes in the nut section, and you know that ain't my section, only to figure out that there's no such thing as Evans nuts, and Mom typed that, but what she actually meant were pecans. Mom seriously wrote on my list, pepperoni, hard ones. Gross. If you know, you know. Great, now she wants me to pick out a rye bread. Have you ever tried to pick out a rye bread? Those are my options. Now, I do know she hates caraway seeds. This one's a monastery rye bread. Does that mean a praise? How can you have sourdough rye bread? Those are two different kinds of breads. Multi-ground rye? Okay, now I'm on to breadcrumbs. Do I get gluten-free, Japanese, panko style, Italian seasoned, or plain? She didn't specify. So the guy at the bakery gave me 2 cookies, these gigantic cookies. Can you smell them from there? It's a brilliant cookie. By accident, he gave me 2. I'm like, oh, you gave me 2. And he's like, oh, I can take one back. I said, no, 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 no. That's serendipity. I go with 2 cookies now. Take back one of my cookies. My mom put roast on the list. I don't know how to pick a roast. Roasts are $55. We're not getting a roast. These 4 guys behind me are literally having a serious discussion about how the chips are produced in avocado oil, if they're fried, if they're not. These boys be out here trying to make healthy snack choices. Me, on the other hand, there's a guy in here right now doing his full shop with his wife on the phone on speaker. She's telling him what aisle to go down and what to get. Like, she's like, it's a brown package on the upper left-hand side. I'm like, oh, man. Serious question. When I eat lemon meringue pie, which I love, my throat gets really itchy. Is that a sign of anaphylaxis or just a push through and keep going? It'll get better after a while. I'm going to push through. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. I like Cheese Whiz on rye bread. Also, I like a jelly rather than a jam because I don't like chunks of fruit on my toast. I don't know why that's weird, people. That lady just heard me do that last part and she said, you're wrong. You need the whole piece of fruit. All done. You know who I love? The put away the cart guy. He's always nice. He always takes my cart. He always tells me, have a nice day. So to the cart guy at Long goes, have a nice day, sir.
On tariffs. And he didn't do it because of Democrats. He didn't do it because of Sleepy Joe. It's not because of the fake news media. The thing that has finally made Donald Trump flinch on tariffs is that a number of CEOs from Walmart, Target, Home Depot started saying to Trump's face with tears in their eyes, sir, we are 2 weeks from triggering empty shelves in the United States of America. Remember how Trump would say that when Obama took over, the cupboards were bare? Obama! Yeah, that wasn't true. But we are now in 2025 in a situation where the president is being warned by billionaire retailers that if he keeps going with the tariff roulette, America would walk into stores and find fewer and fewer goods on the shelves. Not a hypothetical, not a projection. This is sort of like a 2-week countdown to chaos that we've now learned Donald Trump has been given. Now, before the emergency CEO summit, I guess we would call it, Trump was busy torching the markets with his usual bravado, threatening to fire Fed chair.
Donald Trump is not taking those poll numbers well. In fact, he doesn't take anything well. If you notice, like when you're a true leader, you rise above the noise, right? Like you notice that Joe Biden didn't like come after Fox and Newsmax and OAN and anybody who was against him. He just did his job, but not Donnie. A great pollster, John McLaughlin, one of the most highly respected in the industry, has just stated that the failing New York Times poll and the ABC Washington Post poll without a person named Donald J. Trump, me, are fake polls from fake news organizations. The New York Times has only 37% Trump 2024 voters, and the ABC Washington Post poll has only 34% Trump voters. Heard of numbers, unless you're looking for a negative result, which they are. I mean, that's actually the number that voted for you. You know that, right? Maga, you know that, right? You know that he didn't get 50% of the vote, right? You do know that more people voted against him or for Harris, or didn't vote at all, right? That actually aligns. Anyways, these people should be investigated for election fraud. And add in the Fox News pollster while you're at it. Oh, 3 polls now. They are negative criminals who apologize to their subscribers and readers after I win elections big, much bigger than their polls showed. I would win, lose a lot of credibility, and then go on cheating and lying for the next cycle, only worse. They suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I can't. I just can't. They are sick. Almost only write negative stories about me, no matter how well I'm doing. Look, I'm doing so great. 99.9% of the board are best numbers ever and are truly the enemy of the people. Or me, just me. I wish them well, but will continue to fight to make America great again. He seems very stable. And of course, no good dictator wouldn't say this. We don't have a free and fair press in this country anymore. We have a press that writes bad stories and cheats big on polls. It is compromised and corrupt. Look at Pressa! Sad. If you know, you know.
Donald Trump is now freaking out over Republican members of Congress being confronted at their town halls. On social media just a moment ago, Donald Trump said, quote, "The radical left Democrats are paying a fortune to have people infiltrate the town halls of Republican congressmen and women and senators. These great patriot politicians should not treat them nicely, have them immediately ejected from the room. They are disruptors and troublemakers. You must allow your audience to know what you are up against, or else they will think they are Republicans and that there is dissension in the party. There is not. There's only love and unity. Republicans are happy with what is taking place in our country. We all love America." Once again, seeming very dictatorial here, Donald Trump is saying whenever there's any dissent, anytime there's somebody in the town hall who disagrees with you, you must have them removed immediately. That's what dictators do. That's what authoritarian leaders around the world do. Anybody that raises their voice against them or an ally of theirs, they're gone, out of the room. And he has to justify this statement by lying about what's taking place, saying that people are being paid to go to these town halls, which is totally false. People are just pissed. Their Republican members of Congress are doing nothing to stand up for them. Their Social Security, their Medicare, their Medicaid, their student loans, whatever it might be. Nobody is getting paid. These are just Democrats, Republicans, independents who are showing up because they're angry, because they're frustrated.
Things are going very, very badly for Donald Trump right now. He is in big trouble and things are getting worse. Republicans are starting to panic. He is politically on the ropes. He is making an absolute disaster of everything he touches. Everything that should be going up is going down, and everything that should be going down is going up. This guy is an idiot, and he's doing exactly what we thought he was going to do. Now, he is also an authoritarian thug who wants to be a dictator and is doing things that are illegal and unconstitutional and should result in his impeachment and removal from office. And if we had a Congress that cared about the rule of law, that cared about their own branch of government, then he would be impeached and removed from office. Well, that's not happening right now, but it can happen. And if we do what we need to do politically, I think it will happen. And so let's talk about just how bad things are going for Donald Trump right now. And by the way, I say this and I talk about things like this because I don't want people to give up hope. I see too much defeatism out there, too much fatalism, too many people thinking that there's nothing we can do to stop Donald Trump, that the laws of political gravity don't apply to him. Well, they do. And if you believe that there's nothing we can do to fight back against this, you're wrong. It's time to snap out of that mindset. I understand people have been in a funk ever since the election. And then once he took office, seeing people give in to this man and bend the knee, and people who should be standing up and fighting against him, and institutions that should be standing up against him, not doing so, it's frustrating. It's very discouraging. I get it. But things are starting to turn around. I've been talking about that a lot in the last couple weeks, and I am seeing more and more encouraging signs. And I have an article right here talking about the latest approval poll of Donald Trump. You know, it's the symbolically important 100-day mark. I don't exactly know which day it is. Have we hit that day, or are we about to hit that day? I don't know, but he's been in office for about 100 days. And things are not going well. So this is from ABC News. Headline: Trump has lowest 100-day approval rating in 80 years. Let me read just a few passages from this. Donald Trump, I don't know if the wind is a problem with the audio here. It was not windy just a few minutes ago, but now it's really picking up, so please bear with me. Donald Trump has the lowest 100-day job approval rating of any president in the past 80 years, with public pushback on many of his policies and extensive economic discontent, including broad fears of a recession, and this according to a new ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll. Get this, 39% of respondents say they approve of how Trump is handling his job as president. 39%. This MFer is now in the 30s. Guys, this is a big freaking deal. The approve how he's handling his job as president down 6 percentage points from February, while 55% say they disapprove. Only 39% approve of this guy, 55% disapprove. Big deal. Perhaps most threatening to Trump, given his promise of an economic turnaround, is the extent of negative views on the economy. 72% said they think it's very or somewhat likely that his economic policies will cause a recession in the short term. 73% said the economy is in bad shape. 73% said the economy is in bad shape. 53% said it's gotten worse since Trump took office. And for you Trump cultists out there, that's more than half. And 41% said their own finances have worsened, which is as many as those who said so under President Joe Biden last summer. And remember, last summer, when Joe Biden was president, we were told that was the worst economy ever. And it's this, people have the same sentiment now as they did back then. Things haven't gotten any better. And that number was that their own finances have gotten worse. So 41% say their own finances have gotten worse. Same number as when Joe Biden, the worst president ever, according to the Trump cult, was in office. 62% said prices, which as a candidate Trump pledged to curb, are rising. 62%. That's got to include a lot of Republicans and a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump admit that prices are rising. But I thought prices were going to come down starting on day one. Isn't that what he promised? Yes, he did. And just 31% in this poll said they accept Trump's argument that the economy will emerge with a stronger foundation for the long term. Only 31% think the economy is going to be stronger in the long term because of Donald Trump. You know, because that's what they're saying right now with these tariffs. Oh, there's going to be short-term pain, but long-term gain in the economy because he has to do all these things to correct all the problems in the economy, and then everything's going to be great, right? Well, only 31% are buying that line of bullshit. So pretty much we're getting close to the point where it's only his hardcore cult supporters who are believing this crap. I don't think we're quite there yet, because 31%, I think that's quite a bit more than just his cult. I don't think his cult, people think his cult is about a third of the electorate. Some people think it's 40%. I don't think it's anywhere near that. I think it's maybe 20%, maybe 25 at the absolute most. I think the size of his cult is greatly exaggerated. Because one of the things that gives the impression that they're bigger than they are is that they are the loudest people. They're the ones most in your face, right? So especially if you are online a lot, if you're on social media a lot.
More bad news for Donald Trump is his poll numbers continue to plummet at the 100-day mark of his presidency. It doesn't matter whether it was an NBC poll, whether it was a New York Times Siena poll, whether it was a Pew poll, whether it was a Reuters Ipsos poll, or Harvard Kennedy School survey. All of them basically said the same thing, that the American people do not approve, majority do not approve of Donald Trump's handling his job as president. In the latest NBC poll, and I'm going to quote this specific one, but there are numerous ones that are all out within the last week. They all, basically the numbers are roughly the same. In this one, 55% of the people disapprove of Trump doing his job, 45% approve. 60% said America is on the wrong track, thanks to Donald Trump. 51% disapprove of his handling of immigration and border security. Imagine that. And that's his strongest one. 60% said he was not handling and disapproved the way he was handling inflation and the cost of living. You know, there's price of eggs, food going up, all those things that he blamed everything on Biden. Well, what the heck, Donald? Why aren't you doing anything to solve that? Not a thing, not a thing, not a thing. Only said it would be difficult to do. Right. Also, 61% disapprove of the tariffs and trade. And that's just now going to begin to hit. Wait till everybody sees these price hikes that Temu, Shane, Amazon, TikTok, and others are going to have to show because of Donald Trump's tariffs. You're going to freak out when you see these prices. And guess who's going to pay the prices? We are. And when we pay those higher prices and tariffs are collected, guess where the money goes? To the U.S. Treasury. But it's paid off the backs of the United States citizens. Donald Trump really wants that tax cut bad for him and Elon and the rest of those billionaires. You know they need more tax cuts. They can't maintain their lifestyle without our tax cuts. Isn't that a shame? So, love to hear from everybody. Love to know what you think. And clearly the public does not like what Donald Trump is doing. And his poll numbers, I think, in the first 100 days are as bad or worse than almost any other president. You know, and like I said, I think the only person with worse numbers are probably Elon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and possibly an unalive skunk. There you have it. Love to hear from my Democrats, my Magas, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out light bulbs, and my Canadians. Y'all can pipe in. Also, your election is tomorrow if you haven't voted early for Prime Minister. Love to hear from you too.
You don't give a you know what about me. You know, a lot of people don't like their Republican congressman right now because they're supporting Donald Trump. That was a veteran in Chuck Edwards' Western North Carolina district, which is +5 Republican. +5 may not be enough in 2026. A lot of people on social media, I see those videos, are convinced that Donald Trump's going to rig the 2026 elections or call them off, declare martial law. They could be right, but I don't think so. I'll be harsh. I think those people have been watching too many TV shows, too many movies. I fully agree that Donald Trump is trying to become America's first dictator. But for him to succeed historically at being a dictator, he has to have a huge wave of support. That support isn't there. Here's a poll from last week. He's underwater 12 points on every issue, every single issue you can imagine. So I think there will be fair elections in 2026. Yeah, I could be wrong. And given the high unpopularity of Donald Trump, even congressmen like Edwards in North Carolina are going to have a hard time, even in safe districts. And there are many districts not as safe as his. There are 8 Republican toss-up districts with Donald Trump underwater this much, dislike this much. Those districts historically go blue. And in fact, Don Bacon, Nebraska District 2, he's already talking about retirement. He knows the handwriting is on the wall. There are 10 lean Republican districts, 11 likely Republican districts. A lean Republican district, New York, Lawler, he's in trouble. Likely Republican district, Fitzgerald, Pennsylvania, he's in trouble too. If there are fair elections in 2026, and I could be wrong, but I don't think so, the House definitely will turn blue. And the ability for Donald Trump to cause significant damage to the United States post-2026 will be significantly lessened. Although, yeah, he'll cause a lot of damage between now and then. The honeymoon between the United States and Donald Trump is over. And if we work hard, 2026 elections, 2028 elections can't come fast enough.